Hi, this is Paul from the Sunshine Coast Blockchain Group. I'm going to take you through the Poloniex exchange site and give you some basics on how to get around it and set yourself up for some trading. So we go to poloniex.com as seen on the top bar there. Now be aware that when you do log on and create an account, my tip is to create a shortcut where you can actually refer to the shortcut all the time rather than logging in by typing the name up the top. Just for security purposes, it just guarantees that you're going to the same site every time. The last thing you want to do is put on your login details to a pretend site and find your coins go bye-byes. So okay, now we're on poloniex.com. The first thing to do, if you've never done this before, obviously is to create an account. Click the button in the middle of the screen and we go to creating the account, which is fairly self-explanatory: country, email, password confirmation, you're not a robot, and hit register after agreeing to terms of use. And once you've hit that register, what happens is you get a confirmation email, and that confirmation email gives you a link to either click or copy into your browser and go to, and then that confirms your account as being open. From that point, to begin trading, you first need to submit the profile, as it says, a lot more information, scan a photo ID, etc. Again, that's for your own security. It's certainly a factor when you want to trade on things like this to maximize your security and enable what's called the 2FA. 2FA is two-factor authentication, which means that there's two levels of authentication, one usually being a password and the other one can be an email ID number. So for instance, in this particular case, I've signed into this account, I've created this account, and now it's asking for that particular number. So I can copy that, and hopefully I've already done it, and continue into the account. So that's using the two-factor authentication. So here we are, the Poloniex chart as it comes up in your ready-made account. Okay. The first thing to see here is that it automatically defaults to the exchange section here. We're not going to talk about margin trading or lending. We're going to be focusing on the exchange. Okay, so what you see here initially on this page is it's come up with a particular chart looking at the Ethereum exchange, or the ETH to BTC, which means it's an Ethereum to Bitcoin ratio, and that's one of the trading platforms, is that particular ratio. So we're going to go across to the right here and firstly look at these markets. These markets here deal with Bitcoin, Ethereum, Monero, and United States dollar, Tether, USDT. So what happens is all the different coins available on this exchange are available to trade with Bitcoin under this column, and you can see there's quite a lot of those. If you click on the ETH tag or the Ethereum tag, you'll find that there's a short list that you can trade against ETH. Same with Monero and the United States dollar, Tether. We're just going to be focusing on Bitcoin for now. Alright, so when you click on Bitcoin here, you've got the list of all the coins that you can trade against Bitcoin. What you can do is these particular headings tell you that that's the coin name. This is the price as compared to a Bitcoin. So in this case, the AMP, to buy one AMP costs you 0.0000367 of a Bitcoin. The volume shows you how much volume there's been in the last 24 hours. The change is the percentage over that 24 hours, and that's the actual full name of the coin. Just in case you're not aware of what these acronyms are for. So you can change the order of the coins by clicking on the coin. It'll go from A to Z or Z to A. The price will give you the cheapest to the most expensive, so you can determine how you want to see that. The volume will also go from the minimum volume to maximum volume, and at this stage it shows that Ethereum is the maximum. And the change you can put into the order in which coins have had the most movement or the most negative movement over that 24-hour period. So these are very handy tools to customize to your own name, to your own needs, and the name will obviously put the names in in order. I'm going to just click on the volume from highest to lowest, and so Ethereum sits there on top. So these are the main coins. Anything with the most volume are usually the main coins on the market. Okay, so across we move back to the left here, and we're looking at the chart. And what are we looking at? Obviously the ups and downs and highs and lows. On the right hand side here, these numbers here starting at 0.0695723, etc., is the price of Ethereum against a Bitcoin. So one Ethereum will cost you at current prices, let's have a look, last price, 0.069216 of a Bitcoin. So while we're up here, this gives you a bit of a summary of the last price. As you can see, it's always moving, so it's live. This shows you the change over the last 24 hours, the high and low over the 24 hours, and the volume in Bitcoin and the volume in Ethereum over that 24-hour volume period. Okay, so when we're looking at this chart, there's many ways that you can look at the chart over specific periods of time and intervals. So in this particular case, we can zoom in. If I hit the 6-hour chart, this shows me the movement of the chart over 6 hours. Let's just probably zero in on this to make it look a little bit more readable. The candlesticks are the measure of what the market's doing over a particular point in time. So you can change these intervals to 5-minute intervals, 15. Let's wait till that reloads. A nice slow internet today. Okay, so what you see here now is the movement of Ethereum against Bitcoin over a 6-hour period. So when you look at 6 hours in the zoom, it means from left to the right of the screen is a 6-hour period, and each candlestick is an interval of 5 minutes across. Okay, so what are these candlesticks? On our Sunshine Coast Blockchain YouTube channel, we have a fairly detailed video on candlesticks, the different types and what they mean. I'll just do a quick summary here. Basically, a green candle means that the market in that 5-minute period has opened at the bottom. For instance, let's look at this particular one on the left-hand side. So the market opened at the bottom of this green candle. It closed at the top of this green candle. So within that 5-minute period, it started at this price, which if we look across to the right here, I'll just go back to the bottom, we're looking at 0.0696 of a Bitcoin, and over that 5-minute period, it did close at 0.0698. But what are these black lines? They're called wicks. So what the wicks mean is that they've actually, within that 5-minute period, they traded outside of the open and the close. So let's look at this one on the right here. It's much more clear as to how to explain it. So the market opened here at the bottom of this candle, which is 0.0693. Now it traded as low as the bottom of the wick, which is 0.0692, but it traded as high as 0.0709 and closed at 0.0699. So that candle tells you where it opened, where it closed, and the range. This is quite a large one. Now the red candles are basically the opposite way around. They open at the top and close at the bottom over that time period. So in the 5-minute period, this opened at 6.99 and closed at 6.94. And again, the wicks just give you the trading range. As I said before, there's a special video dedicated directly to the candlestick, so that's the one to look at. Then you can always come back to this chart. Okay, the grey lines, the grey bars that are underneath show you the volume of trade over that 5-minute period. So this chart gives you quite a lot of information. It gives you the current price, it gives you the trend in which it's going, it shows you the range within each period that the commodity traded in, and also shows you the volume. In other words, there's quite a lot of volume in that particular range. So things to be aware of, the zoom factor, you can zoom in 6 hours, 24, all the way to the whole history of the whole coin, and your candlesticks can also be in certain intervals. So this little bar here, down here, can also just temporarily open this up so you can see it over quite a large range. So what happens here is that you can then close it back up and go back to that range. So you can It just gives you more flexibility when you're wanting to look at long range trends and the charts. So okay, so we've covered the markets column, and we have covered the main chart area. Okay, the next section we're going to focus on is the section where you buy and you sell your coins. But you might think, well, how do I get my currency into the Poloniex exchange? Well, that's a very good question. Right, so when you've logged in your account, you can go to this balances pull down menu at the top and go to deposits and withdrawals. And when you click on that, what it'll do is it'll give you a balance of all the coins that you have with that exchange at the time. You can click on the hide zero balances and it'll basically show you only what you've got rather than the whole lot of coins. It's just a little bit easier to look at. But what we're looking at this particular window for now is to show where you actually deposit your Bitcoin. So when you find Bitcoin here, which is about there, you look across here and you have to click the deposit button. The deposit button will give you an address that you need to send your Bitcoin to. This is your public address specifically for you on the Poloniex exchange. You go to any other coin, obviously it will give you, let's have a look, a different address. So specifically for yours, you click deposit on Bitcoin. This gives you your Bitcoin deposit address. This is very important that you focus when doing this. A lot of people have lost a lot of coinage by not putting the right address into a send wallet, and they find that their coin goes astray and there's very, very little chance of ever finding it again. So very important. Two ways you can do this. You can either show the QR code, so you can scan that with your phone, or in other cases just to double click on the actual address, right click and copy. Now from here what you need to do is to go to your other wallet in which you've actually created your initial crypto account. In other words, when you've converted from your currency, in our case Australian dollars, to crypto, you've had to do it through an exchange. So you would have some Bitcoin, in this case, sitting on an exchange in a wallet on that exchange, and this is the address here that you need to put into that wallet to send to. I won't go through that with a particular exchange because there's quite a few, but you could always ask someone at our meetings if you need more information on how to do that. But one of our members also emphasizes always double check when you're copying your addresses across, is always check the first 3 digits and the last 3, 1C9 3NZ, 1C9 3NZ. Make sure that you see that when you copy it across to your send wallet program or account. Make sure that the first 3 and the last 3 alphanumerics are identical, and make sure you're going from, in this particular case, a Bitcoin address to another Bitcoin address. Very, very important. Now once you've done that, what happens is it might take a while, but you'll end up with a balance of Bitcoin here, and then from there you can trade. Okay, so from there we're going to click the exchange button here again, and we're going to make some assumptions that we have now bought some Bitcoin. So whatever Bitcoin you bought will appear there. You have X amount of Bitcoin. Okay, that's how you know you've actually had the transfer has been successful. Obviously it will also appear in this deposits and withdrawal section that we were in before, but when you go into the actual trading room, so to speak, you will see a balance sitting here. Now, okay, so in this particular case we are on the Ethereum exchange, so it's the Ethereum to Bitcoin chart. We can see that the price is hovering around 0.6928 Bitcoin. So when you look down here in the buy ETH, obviously you would have a balance there, and it's showing that the lowest ask price at the moment on the market is that. So you can buy at that defaults here, or you can actually create an order and say, no, I don't want to buy that. I expect it to go as low as 6.7 for argument's sake. Okay, that means you're putting an order in for Poloniex to buy that Ethereum when the price gets down to that level. So rather than buy it at market value, which you have the choice to do, you can set the price. If you think it's going to drop a little bit, you can set that price, and when it gets to that price, it automatically creates a sale for you. It shows you the fee that it's going to cost, the percentage. Obviously you need to put the amount of Ethereum you want to buy. So for instance we put 2, and it calculates how much Bitcoin it's going to cost you. So if you don't have that amount there, obviously the transaction won't occur and you can't buy. So that's obviously something you can only spend what you've got there. Okay, but if you need to top up, you can click here. This is a shortcut to deposit your Bitcoin back to the deposits and withdrawal section, and you can deposit more Bitcoin. So once you've done that, it basically puts an order in for you. On the other side, we're going to ignore stop limit. Okay, well, that could be a video for another day. But when you've bought your Ethereum and you want to, say the price has gone up and you want to sell it, it'll show you that once you've bought some Ethereum, you'll have a balance here of Ethereum. You can either go from the highest bid, which of course defaults here, or you can say, no, I want to sell it when it gets to 7,000. The amount of Ethereum, so you bought 2, and then that'll tell you how much Bitcoin it will be worth once the fee's been taken out. So whenever you're buying and selling, take into account these fees. If you allow, say, 0.5%, 0.25 and 0.2 in and out, you'll cover your fee so you know how much you're making. Now, going back down here now, we have, this is the live chart of the sell orders and buy orders. So what you've got here is the price of Ethereum. Here is the amount of Ethereum people are putting on order. This is live. Okay, this is the amount of Bitcoin it's going to take to buy that amount of Ethereum, and that's the current total sell order. As you can see, as we go down the list, it obviously gets bigger because this is a cumulative amount of Bitcoin that's being put onto the market in these sell orders. So this is the cheapest price, and of course as it goes down the list, people are wanting more and more and more. And this is the other side of the fence. This is what people are prepared to buy at. So you'll always find that the buy price is going to be lower than the sell, obviously. This is the amount of Ethereum. This is the equivalent in Bitcoin, and this again is your cumulative figure of all the Bitcoin that's on the buy orders at the moment. It's pretty quiet by the look of it. Now, this market depth shows an interesting thing. This is where people are, this is showing the volume of people and where they are placed in the buy market, and this other side is where people are placed in the sell market. So across the bottom, this is the price of Ethereum against Bitcoin, and you'll find that obviously when you get down to the bottom there, the people obviously want to pay very little for it, and that's where most of the orders are, just in case something goes a bit silly and they can get the price or get their orders covered in these very low sections. But generally it's pretty much across the board. You've got people putting in buy orders at all these very low prices, and as we come to the center here is where the action is happening. That's when there's the minimal amount of trading, because this is where it just to's and fro's, where people are buying and selling within that small margin. So obviously on the sell, people are wanting, a lot more. So as you go more expensive, you'll find more people have got their orders in, wishful thinking that they're going to be selling it at this price of 0.13, which is almost double where the market is at the moment. So this market depth shows you how many people, how many orders are sitting at the price on the buy section and the sell section. Now, if we had a buy order in, say we did buy these Ethereum at this particular price, that would be sitting in my open orders. So it always tells you here, it'll always tell you here what open orders you've got, what amount, etc. And on the left hand side, this shows you what the trade history is over the general market. This is showing what's happening as we speak. Or if you click on my trades, Let's see if we can sit still long enough. When you click on My Trades, it shows you your history of what you've bought and sold in at. So these figures are changing all the time. But basically that's the Poloniex exchange in a nutshell. Just a quick summary: you've got the markets. You can choose between which market you want to actually trade in. Again, we usually focus on Bitcoin. It seems to be the one that always defaults to. And you've got the chart here again with the candlesticks and the time periods. So this is giving you the indicator again of what's happening to the price in a particular interval and across a certain period of time. In this case, you can choose between 6 hours and all these ratings. You have your buy window, which enables you to see the balance of whatever Bitcoin you've got, the amount of Bitcoin, or the price you want to buy it at, the amount of coinage, in this case Ethereum, you want to buy, and the total what it's going to cost you, and you have to factor in a fee as well. On the other side of that, you've got the sell, basically the opposite of the buy. If you have this buy or sell order open, it will appear down the bottom in the open orders. Okay, these are the current orders that are in the sell and the buy. These are always moving. The market depth, again, is where people sit within those orders, the volume and the price that they're wanting. So this gives you an idea of how heavy the market is. At this stage, it doesn't show that it's really too volatile on either side, but it is trading around that figure of 0.0695. And down in the bottom is a trade history showing the general market trades or your trades in how you've been trading over that period of time with that particular commodity. One other thing that I will just mention quickly, in the settings on the left hand side, you can switch certain functions on and off. The Fibonacci levels are basically indicators that use a Fibonacci sequence to show a particular trend. It's probably best to just Google that to get more information rather than try and squeeze it into this. And the Bollinger Band is another indicator that indicates the volatility or the potential volatility of the price within a period of time. And the Bollingers are those blue bands there. So as it gets tighter, it's less volatile, and as they open up, the price is becoming volatile. A lot of traders use that as an indicator for their trading. Again, I'm not giving you any advice as to what you should buy and when you should buy. These are all indicators, and the disclaimer I'll put at the end rather than the start is please do not trade any money unless you're prepared to lose it, because this crypto market is a very volatile market, and people can do their dough very, very quickly. There is something that a couple of trading people told me the other day, the 90-90-90 principle. 90% of traders lose 90% of their wealth in the first 90 days of trading because they can be emotional. They're making emotional calls, especially in the cryptos where the markets can go up and down so quickly. People make their decisions based on emotion rather than maybe logic or rationality, and that's how that ratio came to be. Well, good luck with that. Hopefully that's been a good introduction to the Poloniex exchange.